Hey everyone, it's me here, Kimball, back here with another how-to video, and today I've got something a little bit different from usual. I'm going to show you how to make one of these right here. This is a Conduit Kubotan keychain. It is a keychain right here. You can see the keys, and on this end right here, it is a Kubotan, which is a self-defense weapon. If you're not familiar with the Kubotan, do a YouTube search of Kubotan and you'll see that there are people who show you how to use a Kubotan if need be for self-defense purposes. Before I show you how I made this Conduit Kubotan keychain, I want to tell you a little story. Back in the 1980s, I was doing construction and carpentry, home remodeling, things like that, and I worked with a guy named Dan. And Dan had his concealed carry permit for a handgun. Well, I live in New York State, by the way. And one day he took me out and we shot his gun. And I had never shot a handgun before in my life. So that was a neat experience. And I said, boy, I got to get one of these things. And he said, well, if you want to get a handgun, you better pursue your permit quickly, because they're making it harder all the time to get the permit. And he was right. This was years ago, and it has gotten a lot harder. My wife and I both got our concealed carry handgun permits, and this right here is my permit from 1986. Now I want you to look at that picture of that guy on the permit. That is me in 1986. Now look at me right here, okay? Can you believe it? So that's the story of how I got a concealed carry handgun permit here in New York State back in the 80s. And I got a few of these around. They're handy. They're nice to have. Everyone should have one. As far as I'm concerned, every responsible American citizen, get your handgun permit if you can. But be aware that, boy, it's a huge responsibility to own a handgun. And it's a very sobering thing to consider that you might have to use it in self-defense. That being the case, shortly after getting my first handgun, I saw in the newspaper that there was a class being offered. The class was called The Judicious Use of Lethal Force. It was 2 long days, an intensive class that was taught by this man right here. If you're into gun culture, you will immediately recognize that this is Massad Ayoob. He's a very well-known instructor in gun use and the judicious use of lethal force in particular. I took the class from Massad Ayoob. It was well worthwhile. In the evening after the class, Massad Ayoob had another class where he taught how to use the Kubotan for self-defense. It was not a Conduit Kubotan. It was just a plastic Kubotan. The class was one I didn't go to. I figured I was already spending enough on the judicious use of lethal force daytime class, so I didn't go to that. But judging from the comments on day 2, it was a pretty good class. I probably should have taken it. But what I did was I ended up buying my own Kubotan, and I bought a book, and this was before YouTube. So bearing all of that in mind, I'm going to now instruct you on how to make a Conduit Kubotan. Here's the Kubotan. It is made with 1/2 inch electrical conduit, EMT conduit. You can buy this at Lowe's or Home Depot. It comes in 10-foot lengths, but you can also usually buy shorter lengths. And it's cheap. This is cheap stuff. And it's 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is ideal for a grip. Ideal. Perfect. Very comfortable in the hand. Now, the length that you need for your Kubotan is 5.5 inches. So right here is a scrap piece of conduit. I've already marked 5.5 inches right here, and I am going to cut it with a tubing cutter. Now, I've owned a lot of tubing cutters in my life, and this is by far the best one I have ever owned. The name is Bossy, B-O-S-I. Look how easy that spins, for one thing, and it's got this wide grip. And look at all down here, if you can see, all these bearings. this is the nicest tubing cutter I've ever seen. Okay, so we're going to cut right here. Okay, and the way you use a tubing cutter, if you're not familiar, is you snug it up and you give it a twist, and then you snug it up a little bit more, or tighten it, I should say. There, I just tightened it a little. You just go a little at a time, tightening after each revolution. All right, and we're almost there. And we are there. Now I want you to see, or I want you to know if you can't see, that when you make a cut with a tubing cutter, it takes and pushes the metal in a little bit. And were I using this conduit in an electrical situation, running wires through it, I would want to ream that out, that edge. It's sharp and it's in. It restricts the diameter. I would want to remove this if I was using conduit for electrical purposes. But in this instance, I want to leave that there because I'm going to fill this with Bondo. And that rolled over little edge right there is ideal for holding the Bondo in. The next step is to get a piece of wire. And I have a piece of wire right here that I have pre-formed. And it's kind of all wacky, but you can see that it goes most of the way down. I'm going to put it in about that far, right there. Let's see, yeah, just like that. And I've deformed the wire so that the Bondo can go around it and it will hold, okay? It's going to go in there like that. This wire is comes from this roll right here. It's 12 gauge galvanized utility wire. I did not buy this just to make conduit Kubotan. I happen to have it, and any stiff wire will work. I am going to use some Bondo right here. These are old cans, and I ran out of the hardener, so I bought a new tube of hardener. Perfect use for old Bondo. We are going to see what this Bondo looks like. And wow, that does not look good. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, that looks a little better. So I got a piece of cardboard here to mix on and get a big goob of this out of there. Maybe I'll mix it a little. Looked like it had separated some. It's best to get enough to fill it the first time, okay? Like that. That ought to do it. If you're not familiar with how this stuff works, you just add a little bit of hardener. Oh man, what's with that? Well, we'll work with that. That's actually more hardener than I need, but we're not being too scientific here. The thing to do at this point is get mixing. Get it mixed up so that it's all the same color, uniform color, or close to it. Like I said, this is not being necessarily done perfectly. It's being done adequately though. So the best way to do this that I have found is to fill the tube and then push your wire in. So I'm going to hold the tube down there and I'm going to start getting this in there. Okay, fill it up. That's what we want to do. Ooh, she's starting to harden already, I think. Okay, just keep feeding it down in there. Feed, feed, feed. Quick, quick, quick. Don't worry if it gets down on the edges there. That is no problem at all. This stuff will come off and clean up very nicely. Okay, it's still seeping down in there. See it sinking down in? That's good. Let's see, are we at the bottom? We are. See it? It's at the bottom there. Okay, without further ado, we will put our metal piece in right there. Sink it right down, and we'll put in more. Need in more Bondo. Want that thing filled right up. Want it to go right around the wires, all the way around those deformed wires, so that it locks right in there. So we had plenty of Bondo, didn't we? See, there's the bottom. Okay, I'm going to fill the bottom a little bit like that. Overfill it. That's okay. That's preferable. Overfill it. Oops, we're coming out there. Well, it's quite a trick making these things. If it would harden up a little bit right now, that would be ideal, and it is. It's hardening up. Okay, we're adequately filled on both ends, and now what I'm going to do is set it right there to fully cure. So it's been 2 or 3 minutes. You can see it did drip down a little right there and right there. Before this gets really hard, it's kind of hard now. It's hard, but it's soft yet. I'm going to use my knife to clean up the part of it that I don't want anymore, like that. This is warm, very warm, creating heat inside there. So carve that off, come to the bottom, we'll carve it off there, like that, okay? Clean it up. Up here we'll do the same. Now, there's a little bit of an indent there. I could add more Bondo and fill that, but gosh, it's pretty minor. Just a little bit right there. There we go. I'm going to take a cloth here and try to clean it up a little bit more. I think we'll get rid of this thing. Rub off the residue, the minor residue that's on there. I think we got it. We do got it. Isn't that nice? That's a nice finish. Now you could spray paint that. I did try to spray paint one, but I didn't like it. I like the natural galvanized look right there. Now, that being done, we get a one of these split rings, I think they call them, or key rings. And look at this. I got a whole, this is a shower hook, I think, isn't it? Old shower hook. I got a shower hook full of these. That's the way it goes when you go to estate sales. You got to be shopping for stuff at estate sales. You can pick up things like this, which if you were to buy these at Lowe's or Home Depot, they're surprisingly expensive, but everything is surprisingly expensive these days, except things at estate sales in the old workshops of men who have passed on. You find amazing things, and when you find them, throw them in your bag. There we go, and bring them home and put them away, and you'll have them when you need them. Everything from aerosol products, you know, WD-40, every aerosol product you can think of, all kinds of sandpaper, all kinds of screws and fasteners and hardware. It's at the estate sales. Go to those things, buy that stuff up, because man, everything is so expensive. There you go, the Kubotan. This is you got the slashing action here with the keys. That could be a possibility, and then you've got the Kubotan itself, and this thing can be brutal, a brutal self-defense weapon. And you can slide this right in your pocket, so the keys are hanging out, and you're not going to lose something like that. You know what I mean? Like you would a little key fob. And that, my friends, is how you make serious Conduit Kubotan keychains. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.